In the previous video, armed men grabbed Se-ri and forced her to make a call to the captain to say goodbye to him. Before hanging up the phone, Ri-jong heard a shot. Not knowing what happened to her loved one, her heart stopped at that moment. I'm Nina and today's recap will be Crash Landing on You. In addition to having to deal with the protagonist's disappearance, Captain Ri receives a call from the village leader warning him that he needs to return home immediately, as they are searching his entire residence. As soon as he arrives at the place, Mr. Cho reveals that he is there after Se-ri and warns that when he finds her, he will spare no penance. Then Ri-jong gets excited and attacks his superior, which results in the captain being arrested for his actions. Ri-jong, when he is in his cell, asks his soldiers for help when they go to visit him, to call Seo-dan. The man wants to talk to her. The captain asks her if she took the marriage problem and the cause to Ri-jong's father, because as Mr. Cho is after the woman, it can only be her father who is with her. Seo-dan confirms, so the captain tells his fiancée to take a message to the Lord that if he harms his beloved, the man will lose his only son left alive. We see in the next scene the son of the eavesdropper. The boy went to his father's work and says that he saw when the armed men took Se-ri, so the little boy ended up taking the gift she had left behind and giving it to the eavesdropper, which again has the clock haunting him. And Ri-jong asked his soldiers to do him another favor, to spread the word that his father is the director of the Politburo, so that he would soon be released, since this information is not known to everyone. Soon the rumor reaches the ears of the senior colonel's wife, and when she tells her husband, the man runs to the place to release him. In the next scene, we see that the protagonist is at Ri-jong's father's house. However, she doesn't know who he is. In fact, the woman believes that this man is Seo-dan's father and caught her so that her wedding, supposed daughter, would not be ruined. To defend the captain, the woman tells everything that happened from the beginning, and when the man asks her about her having any romantic interest in Ri-jong, Se-ri is honest and says that she ended up developing it unintentionally, but that it is not reciprocated. The captain's mother was listening to the conversation hidden in the next corridor. So when the protagonist is sent back to the little room where they are locking her, the woman goes up to talk to Se-ri, who asks her if the captain is okay. The man's mother notices how much the woman likes her son, so she takes her to rest in his room. As soon as she sees the bookshelf, Se-ri realizes that the couple are actually Ri-jong's parents, not Seo-dan, as she had thought, and that this is the man's room. In the middle of the night, the protagonist couldn't sleep, so she started looking at the captain's photo album from when he was little and his diaries. Later, she even plays a song on her lover's piano. Meanwhile, the senior colonel obtained freedom for Captain Ri, and the man goes as quickly as he can to his father's house to try to get news about his beloved. Ri-jong is in the living room shouting at his father, his mother, and Se-ri. They hear everything from the hallway, as they were there when the man arrived. After hearing the beautiful words that Captain Ri spoke about not being able to live without knowing if the protagonist was okay, his mother pulled Se-ri to show her that she was alive. Ri-jong ends up explaining better how they got into this situation to his father, but the man can no longer stand their passionate looks and asks them to get out of his way. In the next scene, we see Seo-dan in the restaurant of the hotel where Sung-joon is staying. While he is having dinner, the woman talks about how she met Captain Ri. The two studied at the same school, and although they always exchanged glances and smiles, they never really spoke to each other on the spot. However, to Seo-dan, it seemed like they already knew each other deeply. Years later, the families arranged their engagement, and Seo-dan traveled to Switzerland to get to know each other better. As soon as she arrives and they go to talk, the man talks as if it were the first time they met, so Seo-dan, to avoid embarrassment because he doesn't remember her from school, pretends it was the first time seeing him too. Returning to the two at the hotel restaurant, because he is getting a little drunk and so is the man, he blurts out that he doesn't understand how Ri-jong didn't fall in love with someone as beautiful as Seo-dan and that he is almost doing it for the man. The woman also says that Sung-joon is her type, and in the end, the man has to carry her to her house on his back. As they both drank, neither of them can drive. After Sung-joon leaves Seo-dan's house, Captain Ri calls him and asks for his help so that the plan to take Se-ri back can be put into action. Returning to the protagonist, Ri-jong visits her in her old room later and reveals that his mother told him that Se-ri was playing songs on the piano all night. As the man was once a professional pianist, she asks if he doesn't know the music she has been looking for years. When the protagonist starts playing, the captain identifies that it is the one he composed for his brother. When asking Se-ri how she knows, the woman says that when she no longer had the will to live, she took a trip to Switzerland, and on the edge of a lake, she changed that thought after hearing this song. Since that moment, Ri-jong was already saved. Meanwhile, Mr. Cho takes evidence to convince the military director to go to the Politburo director's house to carry out an investigation and catch the South Korean woman. The two go to Captain Ri's father's residence with a document authorizing them to investigate the man's house. However, nothing was found, and the military director punished Mr. Cho for putting his career in danger by falsely reporting such an important man. In the next scene, we see that Ri-jong had asked the senior colonel for a favor, that he and his soldiers would go to the front line in an emergency team change, and the man allowed it. The plan is that this way he can place Se-ri back in South Korea, crossing the border, and with his trustworthy soldiers, no one will try to do anything against the protagonist. And while they wait for dark to put the last phase of the plan into action, the protagonist enjoys her last moments with her friends from the north in an abandoned house in the demilitarized area. In the south, the protagonist's mother goes to her house with her daughters-in-law and remembers when she visited her some time ago, asking Se-ri not to found her company, so that she would think about how her brothers can't do so well in business and leave your dream aside. Of course, the protagonist didn't do what was asked, and even so, with this family unbalanced, in Se-ri's office there was a photo she took of her mother that day. Night has arrived, and when the captain is taking the protagonist to the border, he comments that the mourning period she had established for the man should be useful for Se-ri too. During this period, they will not be able to date anyone. However, he then changes his mind when he remembers what the protagonist wanted to do with herself in Switzerland and asks her to never be alone again. The woman will always have him by her side, although not physically. But Ri-jong adds that he will always wish that she doesn't feel alone and is happy. Upon arriving at the border, Se-ri has to go alone to the place the captain indicated. However, when she took her first steps into the south, the man crossed to give his last hug and kiss to his beloved. In the next scene, we see the protagonist return to her company. Everyone was shocked to see her, and taking advantage of the cameras, the woman announced that for 1 week her products will have a 50% discount. Afterwards, Se-ri goes up to the meeting room, and on the way she meets her right-hand man, who cries and hugs her, thrilled to see her alive and well again. Then, the protagonist interrupts a vote that her sister-in-law was taking about her company taking over Se-ri's company. Meanwhile, Captain Ri is sick. According to his soldiers, he isn't eating or sleeping well, and he keeps remembering the protagonist all the time. At night, the man receives a visit from the bug, and in a more private place, Man-bok reveals that Ri-jong's brother was the only one who treated him with dignity and told the true story about his accident. The man says that the captain can punish him any way he wants. He can't live with this anymore and asks him to just spare his family. The captain's brother was very good at listening. Thanks to him, the man's baby didn't go away with the swine flu, and Man-bok only did the job intended for him of passing on information about his friend and listening to him because the Captain Cho, at the time, threatened him, saying that if the man didn't do it, he would send the bug's mother to a concentration camp. The man's story ended in tragedy because he was carrying out an investigation into Mr. Cho. And as the listener gave him the tape of the man talking about him and the watch that the captain had given to his brother as a gift, inside was a copy of the report with the evidence that the brother had obtained. Ri-jong decided to finish what his brother started. He sent a copy of the document to his father and then took another copy to the State Security Department. Se-ri left a letter for the village leader that she showed in secret to the people mentioned in the paper. In it, the protagonist spoke the truth about her name and everything that happened. She thanked her friends in the north for all the advice and good memories. Women are shocked to find out and happy to have a friendship with a famous person, despite not being able to enjoy it at the moment. In the next scene, we see the protagonist at her parents' house, where she apologizes to her mother for returning, as she believes that was what the woman wanted, for her to disappear forever. Now we see Sung Joon. He is at the hotel and is approached by security guards. The men claim that there was a complaint about the man and ask to see his passport. On the way, Seo Dan sees him, and because he is with his uncle from the State Security Department, the security guards release Sung Joon. The two talk alone later, and the man tells her about the time he helped Captain Ri take the protagonist to the border. And taking advantage of the fact that they are not hiding secrets from each other, Sung Joon is sincere when he says that Seo Dan should move on. Ri Jong offered to be on the front line to save the woman he loves. There is no reason for her to insist on this engagement any longer. The man adds that the love she felt for the captain has changed and is rotting. It has become an obsession. In the next scene, we see Mr. Cho's trial. The man was guilty of several crimes, lost his assets, and received a life sentence. Upon hearing these words, the man leaves his chair and approaches the captain. He says that the man missed something and that he will go after Se-ri to take her life. Ri Jong in his office reviewed the documents to see what he may have missed, and it seems that there is more than one place that the man used to mount the armor on the truck, so the captain quickly figured that another accident would happen so that Mr. Cho was free. And that's right, while he was being transported, two trucks appeared and took the man out of the vehicle he was in, and then everything ended up on fire, so that the victims could not be identified. As soon as the captain finds out about the accident and exposes his theory, Seo Dan's uncle tells him to look at the facts. The man is lifeless, and they will soon find his body. However, when Ri Jong enters his office, on his desk is an article about Se-ri, and Mr. Cho calls him, asking if he liked the surprise he left in the room. In the next scene, we see that the man is already in the south and has infiltrated the security of Se-ri's company. But Ri Jong was also quick, and when the protagonist goes for a walk at night because she can't sleep, she comes across her lover. Se-ri even thought it was a dream to see him there, so close to her. We now see that the captain will not be the only person that the protagonist misses, that she will meet the man's father, summon Manbok and his son's soldiers to go to the south, disguised as the athletics team, to bring your son back. What did you think of these episodes? I hope you enjoyed the summary. Leave your suggestions in the comments and subscribe. If you liked the video, like and share to help me. Until next time.